This is side 2 of quiz number 4. A total of 20 questions, so 11 through 20. This side is fractions, and we're going to start with reducing. Looking at our first problem, we see that we have an n on top of an n. When we associate them, they make 1. 21 is 3 times 7. And 49 is 7 times 7. When we associate them, they make 1. We have 3 and m, and this 7 left. 3 and m in the numerator, and 7 left in the denominator. That's the lowest terms. When we look at the second problem, we see we need to factor the primes. So 30 is even, there's a 3 in it, and there's a 5 in it. 57, when you add it up, 5 and 7 adds up to 12, 1 and 2 adds up to 30, so there's a 3 in it. So it's just a 3, and what's left is a 19. When we associate the 3's, we have a 1, and so we have 10 over 19. We add or subtract mixed numbers by grouping our whole numbers, so we have 13 minus 4. Always a plus, and 1/9 minus 2/9. Since these already have a common denominator, we see that that's minus 1/9. 13 minus 4 is 9. 9 minus 1/9. Let's look at that. 9 minus 1/9. We need to borrow from the 9. We're going to borrow a whole 1, which we're going to have as the change 9/9. When we subtract 1/9 from that, we see our answer is 8 and 8/9. That's called borrowing. A solved problem involving fractions. The LCM is 7. Lowest common multiple is clearly 7, which is a prime, so we come out and multiply 7 to each of the terms. As we do that, the 7 over 7, the 7 over the 7 leaves just 6. The 7 times the t, and then again the 7 over the 7 leaves minus 3. So when we add 3 for step number 3, drawing our long line, we see that 9 equals 7t. And with our short line, step 4, we see that t is 9/7. Evaluate using the given values. Evaluate using the given values. M is 3 1/3, V is 2/9. V's being squared. But 3 1/3 is m, and that's being multiplied. So the first thing we have to do is change our mixed number, 3 1/3, into a improper fraction. So 3 times 3, 9, plus 1. We have 10/9. Then we have 2/9 as v, but it's being squared. So we have 10/9 times 4/81. We look, 10 has a 5 in it, but there's no 5 on the bottom, and has 2's in it, there's neither of those either. So there's nothing we can do in the way of simplifying. So we multiply straight across, and we find our final answer, 40 times 9 times 1, 9, and 9 times 81, 72. And that's our final answer. When we look at this simplify, that's already in parens, and it's hard to see, but that's a divide. That's a divide. So we have to do the parens first, but they have the same denominator, so 8 minus 1 is 7. So we have 7/9 being divided by 3/5. So we have to flip our 3/5 and multiply. Flip and multiply, or some people say multiply by the reciprocal. Again, we look, is there something to simplify? And no, 7 and 5 are prime, and there's all 3's on the bottom. So we have 35 over 27, which is a mixed number, which we change to 1 and 8/27. And we look for the area of the figure. Well, this is the new area that we've learned. It's a trapezoid because this should be a right angle symbol, because this side and this side are evidently parallel and the other two sides are not. So we need the average of two sides. So we have 8 plus 6 and 4/7 meters that we're going to take the average of and multiply it times 6 meters. So when we do this, we see that we have 14 and 4/7 meters, which we're supposed to take half of, but notice that with multiplication we can commute and associate the 2 and the 6, and 6 over 2 would be 3. Looking at this, now we have a multiplication problem, so we have to change the mixed number to an improper fraction. 7 times 14, 98, plus 4, 98 plus 4, 102 over 7. When we divide that, it's 1, and 7 goes into 32 4 times, so we have 1, 14, and 4 times being 28 leaves 4, a remainder of 4/7. Our last three problems are all clear the fraction problems. This is a new area for us as we're just introducing fractions. Our understanding is that rather than combining like terms, we're just going to remove or clear all fractions through the process of multiplying by the LCM. Our LCM is the prime number 2 and the prime number 5. When we clear by distributing to each of the three terms, we notice that 2 over 2 is 1. So we see that we have 5x. And 5 over 5 is 1. So 2 times 2 minus 4x. And when we see that there's no denominator already in under 6, we have 2 times 5, 10, times 6, 60. Well, 5x minus 4x being x, x is 60. Looking at our second problem, where we're clearing fractions, we see that 6 is not prime, so we factor 2 primes. Our LCM is 2 times 3. When we see that our 3's make 1, we have 2 times 2, 4y, minus, there's nothing in the denominator underneath the 8 except for the number 1. So we have 2 times 3, 6, minus 48, minus 8. 6 times negative 8, 48. And when we cover the entire 2 and 3, we see that that is supposed to equal 1. So when we add 48, step number 3 with our long line, we see that 4y equals 49. And when we divide by 4, we see that y is 49 fourths, or 12 and a quarter. Our last problem has two composite numbers, a 3 and a 5, and a 5 and a 7, which we're going to again remove with an LCM of 3, 5, and 7. As we see that the 3 and the 5 and the 3 and 5 comprising the 15 make 1, we see we have 7 times negative 16. 7 times negative 16 is 112. Y, and covering the 5 and the 7, which make 1 with the 35, we see we have minus 12 on the other side. 3 times minus 12 is minus 36. And when we divide, step number 4, we see that the negative over the negative is going to make positives, and that they're both even. Looking at it, we see that 18 and 56 are again even, so we're going to divide each by 4 to get our final answer of 9/28. Well, I certainly hope that helps, and this was quiz number 4.